All right, we are live. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. So, as always, y'all, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm on Instagram up here, Facebook, and YouTube right here. So, if I'm looking back and forth, y'all forgive me, but I'm trying to do everything at one time. Y'all know technology is amazing, so I use it. So, excuse me. So
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And
the question that I have today and the conversation that we're going to have with Mr. Sean James, who I'm going to have go on ahead and introduce himself, especially for all of my beautiful family on Instagram and then YouTube. You may not know who Sean is, but we're talking about how is being safe and comfortable blocking our success. So, Mr. Sean James, thank you so
yes,
very much for getting on here. I really appreciate it.
you know how we do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So go on ahead if you can, sir. Just tell everybody, who you are, what you're doing, just a little bit about you.
Awesome. Well, I'm known as Sean James, your number one financial wealth educator. I've been sharing financial wealth tips and principles for the last 20 years. I'm also a public speaker. I am definitely also a Forex trader and investor, and I'm also a real estate investor. So, yeah, so that's my background there. And I love sharing information to our community and to our people and just all around the world. And so, of course, I partnered today with my homie, my business partner, Leona Clark, so we can get this job done and just talk about this subject that she came up with.
Yeah, y'all look, y'all know how I am. So just being honest, like stuff come to me and I'm like, ooh, I need to share that or ooh, I need to talk about it.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much how it goes. But so I was thinking about something and I just use myself as an example, as always. And then I'm gonna ask Sean, to kind of chime in, but and give us some nuggets because he always had nuggets, y'all. So that's the reason why I really love when Sean get on live with me. But so when I was talking about is being safe and comfortable blocking our success. So I use myself as an example. Everyone should know by now, that I'm Army, I'm active duty Army. And so before I even decided to join the Army, my initial goal was to go to Florida A&M. And my plan was to get a band scholarship. So I was actually practicing so that way I could go down for the audition to see if I can get the band scholarship, right? Well, I talked myself out of it. And then I allowed the Army recruiter, notice I said
Allow.
I allowed the Army recruiter to kind of help me continue to convince myself that I wouldn't be able to, be good or great in college, right? So I allowed that to happen on top of me already feeling a certain type of way because I had never really, done much outside of where I was from. And so not to say that I regret, of course, being in the army, but I viewed being in the army as that safe zone because I'm like, well, I can still get paid and then I go to school later. And even if school don't work out, I don't have to go back home. That was safe and comfortable for me. Now I know some people probably like, well, you got to go to war. Okay, come on. I was 17 years old, man. Like the last war I knew about was like Desert Storm, Desert Shield, like that. I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was just thinking, this is a job. This is job security, and I don't have to go back to Chattanooga if it doesn't work out.
Mhm.
That was my mindset at the time. So, like, what would you kind of tell people, Sean, when we have those thoughts, about being safe and comfortable where we are versus taking a chance and betting on themselves?
Well, hey, you know what? I have the same background that you have because actually I am from Desert Storm at that era right there. So, that's when I was in the military. And here's the thing, coming from Charleston, South Carolina, shout out to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, it's easy to get comfortable. Back home, you got mama and everybody, their house was around the corner. I could live down the street, come home and have dinner with the family every Sunday if I want to. That was comfortable. And so for
Mhm.
me, it's a little different. Going in the military actually was a step out of being uncomfortable because now I'm away from home. I'm out on my own. And actually, they shipped me I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Then they would ship me right into the battlefield out there. And, you know, I went to Germany and then went over to the Middle East. And so I kind of was uncomfortable at that point. But it kind of taught me, you know, that we're kind of like rubber bands. You know, we're comfortable, but then we got to be stretched. And then we go back again, and then we stretch even more. And so I think that's what we're supposed to do as people. That's how you're going to get to the next level, is you got to be stretched, and then you got to get kind of comfortable at that stretching, and then you stretch some more and keep going to the next level. And so I've been stretched, definitely. That's one thing I learned.
I like that. I like that. And see, and here's the thing, and this is what I'm glad that we have two different ways of viewing it. So people see that, like, my mindset of being safe and comfortable was joining the army because I knew I had security. Mm-hmm. Right? I didn't think about at 17, I didn't think about, you know, going to war. That wasn't in my mind. It was, hey, I'm gonna get a check on the 1st and 15th. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And then I can still go to school. And if it doesn't work out, I still don't have to come back to Chattanooga. Like, that was my mindset of safety. Whereas for you, that was being stretched. You know what I'm saying? So, and then even now, like as an adult, now I'm not 17 anymore. So I've been stretched in the Army, of course, obviously we're being deployed multiple times, just as you have. And so, then in the military, it's like, there's a cap. Yep. Okay. There's a cap on how far you can go. You may get a couple of, you know, extra $100 every year or whatever it may be, but it's still a cap. So like for me, I'm retiring as a master sergeant. That's an E8. The highest I could go was an E9. So I'm like, so why am I going to continue to stay when, you know, I could go out here and I could do something totally different, something that I really enjoy doing now at where I am in my life. Right. But I just take a chance on myself. So what do you, okay, we'll use you as an example. Right. Because you were in corporate America and stuff after the Army. So can you talk to everyone about that?
Yeah, well, look, I'm just kind of piggybacking off of you. So I reached a point in the military, especially when I went in and enlisted and hit E5, and it was like, man, I mean, I'm comfortable now. I was stretched, but I got comfortable, especially when you hit a rank and you know you gotta put some years in now to get tenure to your next rank, right? Right. Yeah, you know, we went to war, had hazardous pay, so the check was looking nice. I was comfortable, got a new ride, you know, still living in the barracks, single, but I also had an apartment off post. So it was like I was really comfortable. But the thing that got me was I looked at my E7s, my E8s at that time, and I was like, yo, do I want to be like that 20 years from now? Like, have 20 BDUs inside the closet, you know, 6 pairs of boots. And, you know, that was my gear, had my club gear, and that was my life. You know, I would go out, I would do this. It was really comfortable. I stopped being stretched at that point. And so that comfortable got uncomfortable because I didn't like it anymore. It wasn't challenging. And you know, I just have the personality where I really love to be challenged. I really love a goal to go after. So I kind of knew then it was time for me to kind of get out of active duty and go into corporate America. And so that was a whole new stretching right there. And so, like you said, going into corporate America now, you know, I still was in an era where they actually kind of respected military people and you could get a position based on your military experience. But unfortunately, you know, times are changing where people don't view our military experience quite the same. And so I got into corporate America and found out that comfortable of that 1st and the 15th check, it wasn't there because companies were buying and selling, downsizing. Right. You know, I went right in that early 2000 era right then where companies were purchasing other companies and then they were, you know, laying off people, but then you would start changing jobs. And we went from where our parents and grandparents were 20, 30, 40 years at GM or at Ford or, you know, for all these companies, General Electric. And then, of course, that started going away. And now the average person would stay a minimum of anywhere from 2 to 5 years at any given job and then switch. And so that's where the uncomfortable came about as far as how do you build a career from that point on. And so that's kind of where, again, it went from comfortable to uncomfortable. I believe when we want to expand or be developed as people, we have to go through those changes like that of being uncomfortable. And we call it uncomfortable, but really it's the stretching. Like I said, it's just progressing you to the next level. It's kind of like your arms here. Let me go in the camera. It's like you're reaching here, but then you're trying to reach down there at the same time, and you can't go to both. You kind of eventually have to let go of one thing to get to the next one. And that letting go is what the uncomfortable is that we talked about.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree with that. And so I'm glad that you were mentioning, you know, your time as far as being in corporate America, because now that leads us to where we are today.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, now, and I just use me, and then obviously, you know, I want you to come on in. But so obviously me joining the military, that was my way of finding that safety. And then of course, as Sean says, you stretch or whatever, because that happened as I was going up in rank. And then I saw, okay, you know what? Now it's time for me to go on ahead and just let the uniform go, because I feel like at this point in time in my life, there are things that I want to do, and by me staying in the military is not going to afford me the opportunity to do those things. Right. So now it's, well, what do I do next? You know, what is it that I'm going to do that's going to get me to where I'm looking to go? And what I found was, like, Sean had Dr. Jewel on the live, and I love to tell this because it just goes to show when we talk about your connections and your network. Me and Sean did not talk every single day or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was not the case. We just ran into a similar circle, and I saw the live, and it was Dr. Jewel talking about I am. And I had already before this, and I know people probably say, that's not true. And everybody say that, but it's true. I actually was praying to God. I was like, man, look, I don't want to work for anybody else when I retire. I just don't know what it is I'm supposed to do. What is it that I'm really good at? What can I do that I can do on my own and not have to clock in? Like, I don't want to do that. And it took a couple weeks, but that's when I saw that live. And immediately after that live, tell them if I'm lying, I hit Sean up on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after that, once we had, I had to get interviewed, y'all. Like, this is how serious this is. When you talk about, you know, I am as the Princeton, the Harvard, I had to get interviewed in order to be a part of the team. So it's not a, you know, we just need you to come over here. No, you know, and that goes back to that whole being safe and comfortable. This isn't a place or an area for you to be safe and comfortable. You're going to have to learn something that none of us were taught in school, you know, middle school, high school, none of that. So when I reached out to him and I got my interview done and I was accepted into the team and the family and the university, right? Then it was, now the work begins.
Yeah.
You know, now the work begins, because you can't be over here comfortable in the Army. It's time for you to start moving in a different direction. But my thing was, in order for me to get to where I was looking to go, I got to do it. And I'm grateful for it, to be honest. So yeah, go on ahead, Sean, and you know, what do you have?
Man, so, you know, honestly, I think I was praying for a long time. And when I mean long time, I mean ever since I left the military. Even though I was in corporate America, you know, the military teaches us to kind of be overachievers, you know, put in 110% every time. So corporate America wasn't like that. You know, that was where it was uncomfortable at that time, because I was such a high performer and I wanted to achieve. But the average person I was working with wasn't like that. They were really comfortable in their position. They stayed in that position for years. They didn't really care about moving up in management. You know, my thing was, if I felt I was 6 months in a position too long, I was getting stagnant. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I had been praying for a long time that I wanted to love something. See, that's the difference, is I was working and I was making good money, but I didn't love what I was doing. I really didn't even like what I was doing. I mean, I had some great positions, but I felt like, man, every day of my life, I'm going to something that I really did love. And that's why I admire people that, you know, do entertainment and maybe they play ball or something, because they probably really love it and that's their talent. And so since I wasn't as gifted in those areas like other professional people. I was like, well, God, what is it that I can do that I'm gonna love? You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't love sales. I didn't love do. And then I said, well, maybe I can have my own business, but I really couldn't even think of what type of business that I wanted that I loved. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Nothing that hit me, but I wanted to be in business. I knew that part, but I didn't feel gifted in one certain area to say, oh, I'm a baker, I'm a chef, I'm gonna do that, and I love doing it. So again, what happened was IM Master Academy came along, and at the time, I actually had got laid off of my corporate position. They had sold the company, lost my position, and me and my wife, we looked at this opportunity, and I never thought about being a Forex trader. I didn't even know what that was, and I was like, well, I don't know. It looks interesting because I wanted to know about investing my money because I knew wealthy people did it. And so got involved and really, I fell in love with investing. And I was like, oh God, this is it. This is it. I actually
Mhm.
really love it. It catered to all the parts of my being, which meant I was challenged every single day. I was in competition with myself.
Yep.
I felt like I needed to get better and I need to be a better person than I was a week ago. And then of course my result was climbing the ladder with myself, having my own business, but I didn't have all the headaches of having my own business. I had owned a couple businesses before, but again, I wasn't in love with it. And I had employees, I had problems, I had lawsuits that I could be threatened with. And in this space, I just have to learn. And then the more I learned, the more competitive I got. And it was uncomfortable. It really was. And the uncomfortable part was 90 days later into starting, I was able to leave my corporate job and just do this full time. And that was scary. It was very, very uncomfortable, but it launched me into a brand new space that not only do I love, but I am able to use the gifts now that God has, granted me that I didn't see before. Cause I was like, well, man,
Mm.
I don't play ball. I play ball, but I don't play it like on an NBA level. I
Right.
can hum in the shower, but I can't sing like all these other people. I can't draw like everybody else. So I was like, man, what am I gonna do? I don't like to work on cars like that. I'll do it to fix my car, but I'm not gonna do that as a career. So luckily, I ran across this, and helping people was what I fell in love with. And so I got the education piece, but then now I'm able to impact thousands of families worldwide. And so now I fell in love with it. And because of that love, my gosh, it's like, man, that took us to the stratosphere. So that's kind of that comfortable to uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
have to get uncomfortable my position to look for something else. And then, I found something and it's like, wow, this is really uncomfortable, but now I'm excelling at it. So that's kind of what my journey was.
Awesome. So I'm glad that like how you tied that in and you break it down because again, we're all different. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because, you know, sometimes we kind of judge, people's situation and why people do some of the things that they do. But in us talking, now you can kind of get a better idea on, how Sean does what he does, why he does what he does. Same thing with Leona. And then you can figure out, okay, am I closer to, how she is viewing stuff, or am I closer to how Sean is viewing stuff? It is anything that they're saying, is that tailored to me? Like, does that match me and how I feel? And do I want to be stretched right now? Do I feel that right now I'm being a little too comfortable with where I am and I don't want to be here? Like right now was the time for us to make a decision, to be honest. Do we want to continue to be safe, comfortable, or are we saying, you know what, I'm willing to be challenged.
Yeah.
I'm willing to step out of my comfort zone. I'm willing to, go into something that is unknown, but I'm comfortable, or not comfortable, but I'm competent in my, abilities. Like I know that I can learn. I know that, I can, as long as somebody take a moment to show me and point me in the right direction, and there's some type of strategy or structure or foundation or something that I can start with, I'll be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope that in us having this conversation that is resonating with someone. If you are an individual who, you're kind of like, I'm not going to say stuck, but you don't know where you fit in right now.
Right.
You know, you're trying to figure out what it is you want to do. Sean said the same thing that I say. I knew that I didn't want to work for anybody else when I retired, but I just didn't know. And I would say, which was wrong. Now that I look at it, well, not wrong, but it wasn't a good way of viewing myself. But I would say, well, I don't have any talents. You know what I'm saying? But I do, because I have a love of learning. Not everyone has that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have a love of teaching and helping people. Not everyone has that.
Mhm.
So that is something to look at. And so, just kind of sit down and really think and evaluate, like, it was where I am right now. Am I considering this a comfortable spot? Am I just happy and content with where I am? Or if I'm not happy and content with where I am, what do I need to do to get out of that space? So, Sean, what do you have for people that say that, what? I feel like I've gotten too comfortable. What do I need to do to get out of this space? What do I need to do?
Well, look, here's some real talk. I mean, there's gonna be people that view our live, they're scrolling through the day and they kind of say, well, what they talking about? And there's a lot of you that's gonna just be fine where you are, and that's okay. I appreciate you being on. We want you to share, all that other good stuff. But we really want to get to that person that says, man, I'm going, it's already this coronavirus is kind of changing my world upside down. I didn't really like what I was doing before, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so what we're asking you to do is to kind of just step out on faith. There's a part of you that's speaking out, that's saying, I want to do something different. And even though you may not understand what all this trading in the financial markets is about, the trading kind of allowed us to use the talents that we had. Because there's so many of you that have a great will to want to help people, but you're not helping nobody at your job. You have a
Right.
will to want to teach, but you're not teaching nobody at your job or wherever the case may be. Some of you want to give more free time to your church or your nonprofit, but your job is tying you down and you okay with that. And you don't even know, okay, should I change that? You see, God has a way of speaking to you that he wants to use you, but he's not going to force you. You see what I'm saying? He's gonna push you in a certain direction, but you got to move. You got to act. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? So what we want you to do is, we got our hands extended to you. We want you to just put your hand out and say, hey, look, I want to change something different. I don't even really understand what y'all talking about right now on this live. But at the same time, I know that you guys are talking about doing something different and having a lifestyle with it. And because of this space, it's allowed me to have so much more time with my family. I take my son to school, I pick him up every day from school, and we spend time at the park. When other parents are working, we're spending time, but at the same time, I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm helping so many people in the process. Leona's the same way. She's going to transition, and she's helping people now, loving what she's doing. And guess what? She's going to impact thousands of families, and your purpose will be discovered through that. And so understand that a job is a way to take care of the resources, take care of the responsibilities of your family, of yourself, keeping a roof over your head, all that. But it was not meant for you to stay in that space. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not meant for you to stay comfortable at that level. Oh man, I love that dog right there.
I mean, he just had to just jump in.
Love it, love it. That's the star right there. But look, it's not meant for you to just stay right there. And again, most of you are going to bed at night looking at the ceiling and you're like, man, I want to do so much more. And so that's what we're trying to, talk to you about, is that by plugging into something here where you can get the resources and the investment capital to do the things that you really want to do. Being in trading has allowed us, at least for me and my wife, allowed us to now invest in real estate, looking at gold, looking at oil, looking at things that I've only read about,
Right.
So my job, even though I had a good corporate job, it really didn't allow me the time to look into these investments. Excuse me. Oh, you got to take over for a minute.
I know it happened to me. It happened to me the other day.
Okay, a little dry throat. All right. He gets some water.
Okay. So look, the reason why I wanted to do this, and I'm really glad that Sean was bringing this up. We sometimes we take what people are saying and we kind of look at it in a different way. But what we're saying is not that you don't need to have a job. Okay. Like would be wrong. I mean, all of us have had a job, but this conversation is for the person who, or the people that are saying, okay, the job is cool, but I want more.
Right.
Right. The job is fine. It's paying the bills right now, but I want more. That's what we're talking about. That's the reason why we're talking about it, is being safe and comfortable, blocking our success, because we know we want more. We know that, God is charging us and showing us, but he is adamant about getting in this video.
Okay.
But God is charging us and challenging us. And it's like, if we continue to just kind of blow it off, then it's going to take us longer to get to where we're looking to go, or where we're saying that we want to go, because we're not moving when we're being shown at that time. So yeah, go on ahead. Are you ready now?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I can get that a little bit and stuff. But yeah, I mean, all that stuff. Really, we just want to be able to talk to you today, have these conversations. Me and Leon are going to continue having these wealth conversations, just talking about where we are in the midst of this pandemic, that you don't have to get lost in your comfortableness and feel like, hey, I can't move left, I can't move right. Can I still pursue my goals? Absolutely. God is making such a great way for you to go ahead and start moving. As a matter of fact, he's probably slowed you down because life was moving so fast that you going to your job, taking care of the kids, doing this, running errands, that now you finally get to slow down and say, well, what do you want? What do you want to do? You see what I'm saying? What do you want to do? And then, hopefully, if you're saying, look, I want to make a change, look, that's what me and Leona are here for. We're here to help you make that change. Okay. And so, yeah, that's what I got. Right. So look, get with us. On the bottom, you see our IGs,
Exactly.
And again, we're not here to push nothing on you. We're just here to say, reach out and say, look, I don't even know what y'all talking about, but I really want to change. Can you help me? Can you help me and my family change what we're doing? And we're going to do that because that's what our heart is mandated for to do and stuff. So what you got, Leona?
No, you know what? That's pretty much it. I just want to make sure, I'm really big on, because it's taken me some time to get to this point, but I'm really big on like challenging our thoughts process and our belief systems. I've been listening to a lot of E.T. the hip hop preacher, and he's really dope to me. And he talks about that a lot. Is your belief system matching your actions? Typically the answer is no. So if that's what we're doing right now, and you're seeing that, yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable, but oh well, then again, this conversation is not necessarily for you. We only want to invest our time and energy and share this with people who really are having the desire to help not only themselves but future generations, and not just the people that's in their family, but people that they don't know. Because that's what we're doing. We're looking to help and be a part of that empowering 1 million families. So if that's what you want to do, then hey, go on ahead. You see the IG, like he said. I'm on Facebook. Obviously, Sean is on Facebook as well. Go on ahead and just send us a DM if you feel more comfortable with that on Facebook or whatever. If you can reach Sean, what's your website so they can at least come check you out on your website?
Oh yeah, website is invest, INVEST, the number 2, learn.com, invest2learn.com.
Awesome. And so y'all know where I'm at. Mine is prosperity.com, prosperitycalls.com. Man, I'm getting twisted and stuff. But that way, if you feel more comfortable with that, whatever it is that you want to do to attempt to get the information, please just do it. It's more than enough money out here for all of us to eat. Okay. And that the information is there. So that way you can at least see if this is something that, you really would want to do. Okay. So with that being said, that's all I have. I'm going to end this. You already know, with my favorite quote. And that is from the legend. His name is Arthur Ashe. And he says to start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Thank you so very much, Sean, for getting on.
Thank you, Leona.
Thank you to all our viewers. I hope everyone out there has a great day.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
You as well.